And with that, the 2023 season comes to an end. Good night.
Alright, so the year's basically almost over, and since it's almost over, I've been wanting to do this video for a while, which is why I haven't really posted too much cosplay content, because I just want to give my heads up on the best and the worst conventions of 2023. Now keep in mind, this is all opinionated, like, you guys may have different experiences, but this is just from my experience. I want to give you guys a heads up, so if you're looking for a convention next year, where to go, is it worth it, whatever the case is. But with that being said, yeah, let's talk about it. And before you wonder, how do you afford this? I'm just like any average guy. I like work your average job. I got like 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs. Not just kidding. I do got 2 jobs, like 2 side hustles. So yeah, it takes me a lot, but trust me, going to all these conventions was absolutely worth it. Yes, no, my bank account is crying. But yeah, let's just talk about it, because I do got a few conventions I went to that I do want to talk about. Alright, now the first convention I do want to talk about that is probably the worst convention on this list. Like, I'm sorry for the people who ran this, but I'm gonna have to like talk bad on y'all, cause ain't no way this is the worst convention I have ever been to, and it is called Anime Sakai. This convention is located all the way in Abilene, Texas. So originally I applied to this convention to be a vendor, because if you're not familiar, I run like a side business with me and my friend Gumdrop Studios. If you want to check that out, website is live, whatever the case is. But yeah, so like we went expecting like a decent showing, because lately we've been trying to get into like big conventions, and this one was like absolutely dead. Like, it was towards the end of June and in the middle of nowhere. I thought, okay, maybe this will be decent, we can make some money back. No, we didn't even make our table back, which is insane. You know what's crazy about this? The fact that this convention like straight up said, oh, this convention is sponsored by Crunchyroll. That was a straight up lie. Like, they had absolutely no guests. Almost no one showed up. The only people who were buying off each other were other vendors, and like even then they were pretty annoyed, because most of them drove from like Fort Worth or like Arkansas, like different parts of the country for this convention. And man, it was just terrible. Like, it was terrible. Absolutely will not recommend. They straight up lied. It was boring. Nothing good happened in Abilene. Not to like dog on anyone who lives in Abilene, but it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, so there's like kind of nothing to do. Then again, this convention was like in the middle of the summer, absolutely hot. It's basically like a college town. Everyone was out. So yeah, this is probably one of the worst conventions I have ever been to vendoring. But yeah, don't go there. Like, sorry, if you guys are gonna do a convention, do not lie. At least get voice actors or people to come, because yes, promoting a dead convention ain't worth it. I'm sorry, but like, if you went, which is like a small minority, do not go. It is terrible. It is terrible. Next up on my list, well, it's not the worst, but I didn't really enjoy it too much for like personal reason, just because like the day before my dog passed away, which I wasn't really in the mood to do stuff, but I wanted something to get my mind off things. So I went to this convention. It's called A-Kon. It's probably one of the largest like anime conventions in the DFW area. It's been going on for like 20 years. They recently moved from like the Fort Worth convention to the Irving convention, Las Colinas, which to me was kind of a poor choice. Yes, because Las Colinas is a kind of small convention center, which is good for like smaller conventions like Dallas Fan Days. But for this one, it was okay. Kind of felt like overcrowded. Like you could only fit so many people inside it before it got really hot. And this convention took place like in the middle of like early June. So like if you live in Texas, you know this convention gets absolutely hot. If you're wearing like thick armor or like anything that's like armor related, anything that covers your whole body, you're gonna be sweating, because this convention, it was just so hot, especially since it was in the beginning of June. And I thought it was okay overall. Sure, there was some good, a lot of pretty good cosplays. There was actually a band that came out, I believe it was Burnout Syndrome. I think the concert was pretty fun. I had a few friends that went towards it. That was absolutely, they had a blast. But for me personally, I think it's an okay convention, just because I really don't like the venue, like the choice that they did, because it just feels kind of overcrowded. It just feels really small. Think of it like a sandwich, like you stack a sandwich on top of another. That's basically what the convention is, but it was like pretty small. To me, if they worked on like expanding like the convention area, or like expanding it to like different areas around it, it would be better. Next up on my list is a personal convention of mine that I honestly pretty much enjoy. I've gone to like just about every convention for like the past 6 years, with the exception of COVID. I've gone there for like a few years. It's Dallas Fan Expo, or Dallas Comic Con Fan Expo, whatever they renamed. To me, it's really one of my personal favorite conventions like ever. I've been going since I was like 16. It's something I've gone to. I've met like a lot of friends. I've taken a few of my friends there, and they always enjoy it. And it's pretty local. It is always fun, because we do get like major guests that drop by, and it's always pretty cool. I even got to meet Kevin Conroy a few years ago before he passed away. Rip Kevin Conroy. But the one thing I really disliked about this convention this year was the parking. I don't know if it's because conventions have gotten more popular, but the fact that I had to like park like 20 minutes away, there was absolutely no parking. And to park anywhere near the convention, like the fees were outrageous. Like I don't know how much exactly they were, but there was no parking compared to like last year and other years before, where it's pretty easy to park. This year was kind of difficult. I don't know why, but I had to park like 20 minutes away near like a train station. It was basically like an illegal parking spot, which even the cop told me, hey, you're not supposed to park here, but since you're wearing like full costume, I'll let it slide. Keep in mind, I was wearing my like Star Wars armor, so going into this convention, it was towards the early June. This was after a week after A-Con. I was literally sweating. I was sweating from top to bottom because I was wearing my Star Wars armor. You guys have seen it. I was dying wearing it. Overall, it was a pretty fun convention. Absolutely would recommend going to it. It is 8 out of 10 for me. But the fact that the parking like was pretty bad, and I think it's getting bad and bad every year. I really wish they would like fix it up. But yeah, also the cool thing about this convention, I joined like my first ever cosplay contest. I didn't win, but a lot of people liked my armor. I think it was pretty cool. It was a pretty fun experience. So if you're local to the DFW area, I recommend go check out this convention, because it's pretty fun. It's fun to take your family and friends, and it's pretty big, it's pretty spacious. So I highly recommend this. Why it's so low on my list is mostly due to the fact that just the parking area. I'm not the biggest fan of it, so yeah, there's that. Another convention that I actually pretty much enjoyed, I was actually a vendor there as well. Keep in mind, it's like 50-50. Like some of the reasons I went to conventions was because I was a vendor, because of my business, whatever the case is. But this one was pretty fun. It's ranked higher than Fan Expo, mostly because it's pretty new. And this one is going to be in Houston, Texas. Now, this is pretty new because last year I went to Tokyo Night Festival. It's basically like a little festival where they do like cosplay, stuff like that. Like a mini convention, but kind of outside. But if you want more info on that, go watch my video on that. It was pretty bad last year. It rained, like everything, the camp, everything just like got destroyed. But this year, they redeemed themselves. So Tokyo Night Festival, if you are watching this, you guys redeemed yourself. Now, they started a new event called Tokyo X. Now, to me, Tokyo X was a pretty fun convention, because this was at the NRG Center in Houston. I have never been there. I've never really gone to Houston a whole lot, mostly because to me, Houston's kind of like Gotham City. Like there's always crime, but then you got your nice areas of Houston. But this convention, it was like a 2-day convention, and keep in mind, I was a vendor there. It was pretty fun. Like I've never been to this, and they really redeemed themselves because there was a lot of cool vendors. Like there was a lot of cool stuff. It was basically like a mini convention. Granted, they only had like a small area, but it was still pretty big. Like a few thousand people actually showed up. Like Saturday, it was absolutely packed, and it was pretty fun. Like Houston to me is a pretty fun area to be around. Like I said, it's kind of dangerous, has its good and bad spots, but overall this convention, for like them redeeming themselves, absolutely worth it. I really love it when conventions like take advice from people and up the ante, and to me this was pretty good. I highly recommend this. This is like a 7 out of 10, mostly because it was pretty small, but I do recommend it. And next year in 2024, if they do have this, I will try to be there as a vendor. So if you see me, keep that in mind. But if not, I'm going to be cosplaying there. But I do recommend this one for you fellas. Okay, now we're getting to like the better and better conventions. Next up on this list has really got to be MegaCon Orlando. To me, this is my second time going to Florida. The first time I went to Florida was for my like first ever anime convention, which was Holiday Matsuri. Unfortunately, I did not go this year, or else it would be on my list. But I heard a lot of stuff happened this year at Homat, which is a different story entirely. I didn't go there. You can talk to people who went there. But MegaCon, to me, I know it's a convention that's been there running for years. To me, my first time going, it was pretty fun. It is a pretty fun convention. The place itself is humongous. Like, I've never been there, but the fact that I went early in March, I think it was around right after my birthday, so this was kind of like a birthday convention to myself. It was pretty fun, but I didn't like it for the sole reason that it was humid. Then again, Florida, I've never been this time of year. Absolutely dry and humid. When I mean humid, like it feels like you were in a sauna 24/7. But I got to meet a lot of my friends that I met from Homat. I got to meet up with some of my friends from out of state, even make some new ones. Overall, it is a pretty fun convention. So like if you live in the Florida area, you know this is one of like the best conventions to be around, hands down. Like it is pretty fun. It's for the most part pretty family friendly. You can wear a lot of good cosplays and you won't really sweat too much unless like you're used to the heat. But it's one I honestly recommend. For that reason, I give it an 8 out of 10 on my list. So if you are going in 2024, have fun. I was kind of debating where I would rank this, but it's going to be Anime Frontier. Now, this is actually another local convention. Like, keep in mind, most of these conventions, they're here in like the Dallas-Fort Worth area, mostly because that's the area I live around, but I'm ranking them. So if you're wondering, why are you in Texas? Because I live here. But yeah, Anime Frontier, it is my first time ever actually going. I did apply to be vendor, but I did not get accepted, unfortunately. But one of my friends, like, gave me a badge to enter, which was pretty fun. And another thing actually happened when my friends recently passed away, so like I really wanted to cheer myself up. I was kind of debating on going to this convention or not, but I ended up going, and I went for like both days, Saturday, Sunday. It was a 3-day convention here in the DFW area. Pretty fun. The only thing I dislike about it is the parking, but overall the convention itself, pretty fun. Like it's honestly about the same size as maybe like the Kate Hutchinson like convention center, more or less. But I do recommend this because it's pretty fun. If you're local to the area, you really enjoy this. And I've never been here. It's also sponsored by like Crunchyroll, and it's like the sister convention of Anime NYC, which I'll get to later on. But yeah, it is a pretty fun convention overall. So if you liked Anime NYC and that type of atmosphere, you 100% will enjoy this convention. For this reason, it's on my list a little bit higher than MegaCon, just because it's kind of local. It was pretty fun. I was able to meet some of my friends from out of state, make new friends. To me, conventions, like the fun part is making friends. But yeah, I do recommend this. Like if you go, it's usually towards the end of December, so like right before Christmas. So like if you're on a budget, I recommend go there at least for a day because it's absolutely worth it. Now this to me, I'm relatively new to this convention because I've never been here. So like, it was towards the beginning of the year. Like I went to this convention right after I came back from MegaCon Orlando. Now, I know what you're thinking. How are you going from Florida to convention to convention? I don't know. I got in here for free as well. Now, I like this convention, but maybe it should be ranked lower on my list. But the only thing I genuinely disliked about this convention was the fact that the security there was really, really lacking, as well as the parking. You'll start to notice a trend in most of these conventions, like the parking wise, it just kind of sucks. But I genuinely enjoyed this convention just because it kind of reminded me a lot of like Holiday Matsuri with the atmosphere, since the convention was inside the Gaylord Hotel, so like you have this nice beautiful view where you could take cool cosplay photos. There was a lot of cool panels and a lot of stuff to do, and you got to meet a lot of people, a lot of cool cosplayers. But I really disliked the fact that the security was so minimal. Like almost anyone could just bounce in there and walk right out. They didn't even check for badges or anything. They basically didn't really care. Like the security there was really garbage, absolutely garbage. But it's one I would honestly recommend if you are in the area, and this is a convention I actually will be attending in 2024, so stay tuned for that. So yeah. Now on to my final two, which you guys will pretty much guess. So Anime NYC, this to me is, I wouldn't say it's up there, but I was kind of underwhelmed a little bit. But when I went in there, say for like 2 days, it was pretty fun. The reason I really like this convention was the fact that it's New York. I love New York City. It's a place I normally go to at least once a year, just for like vacation, convention wise. Normally I go to New York Comic Con, but I skipped this year to go to Anime NYC, even though I've heard like mixed things about Anime NYC from like the past few years. Some people say it's pretty good, some people say it kind of sucks, but I wanted to go there for like my first time ever, and some of my friends, like, they've never really been doing an anime convention, so they wanted to check out Anime NYC over in New York Comic Con, since I go there just about every year. So I'm like, all right, so we're gonna go here. I went and had a lot of fun. They had pretty much fun, but for them, since they're like casual people, they're not too much into cosplay or stuff like that, they usually go for like a day, half a day. They went, they enjoyed it. For me, I went both days, and I really liked this convention because I was actually able to host my first ever like cosplay meetup. It was a Kaguya meetup. Go check that video out. But yeah, I even got to do like review of my Kaiju number 8 cosplay. A lot of people loved it, but I know it didn't really get too much attention just because people did not know what Kaiju number 8 is. Next year, people will love. Now, will I be there next year? I don't know, because they moved the convention to August. That's also in the summer. But I do have a lot of plans in the summer, so I'm kind of iffy on that if I will be going next year. But I do recommend this if you stay in the New York area or anywhere in the East Coast. It's a convention that's pretty fun. If you're into anime but you can't really afford Anime Expo, I recommend this one, even though the prices for this are, they're up there. They are pretty expensive. Luckily for 2024, the prices kind of have gone down, so that's pretty positive. But to me, it's one of the more expensive conventions. Yeah, it is pretty cool. It is a pretty convention that I recommend. Like I said, it's like a 10 out of 10 to me, in my opinion. Maybe because I'm biased because I was born in New York, but I recommend go there. I recommend go there. So this is gonna be MomoCon. So to me, MomoCon is really like my second out-of-state convention. One of my friends, Kiki, she actually invited me to come here. The whole reason that I actually went to MomoCon specifically was because she wanted to do like a Fate cosplay deal. I'll put it up on the screen. This one right here. Yeah, Fate to me is a franchise I really enjoy, and Rin is best girl. When she said, hey, I'll do Rin, you do Archer, I'm like, all right, absolutely. So I'm gonna cosplay Archer and do this, and I did it. Archer was one of my favorite cosplays I've made. I made a video on that, go check that out. But it's a convention that's pretty fun. Like, this convention to me is kind of a mix between a Holiday Matsuri and Fan Expo. So if you do like both of those conventions, you will 100% love MomoCon. MomoCon is in Atlanta, Georgia. I recommend it. Now you're probably wondering, what is the #1 convention you have been to? You guys might have guessed it, might have not, but it's really gotta be Anime Expo. Why Anime Expo? Like that overcrowded convention that I saw online? Yeah, that's the one. That's exactly the one. Now, I'll tell you a few reasons why this is probably my favorite convention that I have gone in 2023. Mostly because it was pretty fun, and like, if you really love anime, you're really gonna like this convention. It is kind of hard. Well, it's not too hard to get into. It's a bit pricey, a little bit, but I do prefer this over some of the other conventions on this list. Mostly because all my friends that I know went there, they live in the area, so it was pretty cool. Even some of my friends from the East Coast, I was able to meet them at Anime Expo. Now, I do have a lot of pros and cons about this convention, but if you're interested, go check out my separate video on Anime Expo. But it's a convention that if you can afford it, I 100% recommend go, because there's a lot of like actors, VAs, guests that go from like other country, they come from like other country, other state to this specific convention. It's probably one of the biggest anime conventions in the world, if not the United States. It's really fun, and to me this is like the first convention I actually went all 4 days, which is crazy. I normally go for like 1, maybe 2 days max, the latest 3, but I went to this convention all 4 days. I got to hang out with so many different people, I got to meet so many different people, and to me it was probably the best convention I've ever been to in my life. I don't know if next year I'll go, because it was kind of crazy. There was a lot of things that happened there that I could go into detail, but that's my separate video if you want to check that out. It's a convention that is pretty fun. If you really like anime, you will absolutely adore this, especially since there's a lot of cool cosplayers that go to this. It's pretty fun. I do apologize for like how long this video is, but I wanted to give my quick thoughts on this. This is probably one of my longer vids that I've made. They probably took me a while to edit, not gonna lie, but it's a convention, like these conventions. Now keep this in mind, like I said at the beginning of the video, it's all opinionated. This is all coming from like my personal experience. Like you guys may have a different ranking if you have been to these conventions. You guys may share your like thoughts and dislikes about this, but I wanted to give you guys like a heads up, like my opinion on all these conventions I went to, because I really had a lot of fun. Like this is the most I have ever been to like conventions, and ever really. I've never been to like 10 plus conventions. I didn't really mention like the minor events, festivals that I went to, but like I said, sometimes I do this just for like my business, sometimes I do this for fun, but I wanted you guys to like just hear from someone who went to these. So if you're really considering going to these conventions, recommend this video to other people. Share your thoughts in the comments down below. Have you been to it? Do you agree or disagree with me about my points? Anyways, with that being said, I hope you guys have a good new year. This is my final video of 2023. Going forward, I will be making more content. I will be trying to be more active on this channel specifically. I got a lot of cool ideas, and if you don't follow me on my Instagram or my socials, be sure to do so. Until then, I'll see you guys on my next one. So yeah, peace.